Well, welcome to 180 U-Turn, the talk show that features some of the greatest conversion stories of all time. Stories of men and women who are on the highway to hell when they encountered a Damascus Road experience that completely turned their lives around. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Savant, and today we're broadcasting live from Alongside Ministries, one of the premier prison transition facilities for former felons. And for more information, for any of the ministries that they have, maybe you have a loved one in prison, maybe you just got out and you're looking for help. Plenty of help here, plenty of people that have been there, done that, and know what you're going through. Just hop out to their website at, asmaz.com, and out there you'll not only see all the things they're into in prison transition and so forth, but you'll also see some of the weekly meetings that you can participate in. Maybe you're saying, Steve, I'd like to be a mentor. I mean, you had a mentor for inside and out, right? Did you not?
I do right now.
And he's still have a mentor.
Still in prison.
And this is why I love this place, because they're they're hand-holding your last 6 months in incarceration, and then they're hand-holding you out here. Nobody's letting you go. You have people to walk with, and especially when you have people that like me and Anthony. We had no father figures in our life. It's just bad news. You know, we need guys like this.
Absolutely.
And so I just implore you, if you're saying, Steve, I just retired, me too, and you just say, I don't know what to do with my life between now and heaven. Hey, I got plenty you can do here. A lot of work here. So if you want to try out for being a mentor, that's another thing. So hop out to their website, asmaz.com, and look for their weekly meetings. Sometimes they have special meetings and so forth. Right. And I just like that. We're with Anthony this week. All this week, we're talking about Anthony's story. And again, if you've missed our story, we're in Wednesday's show, you need to go back out to the website and watch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Watch it in succession, in chronology, so you can get the idea what's happening. There's so many traps in your first 2 episodes where I can totally say, oh my gosh, this was totally set up. The devil set this up. Right. I totally get why people go into dope with a background like this. You have people go, how can people do these things? Well, listen, look at what you're putting your kids through. I mean, I don't want to go all the way back and be some kind of regressive psychologist, which I'm not, but some of this stuff is there's just truth to this. And I just want you to be encouraged. Listen, you say I've went through this, Steve. In fact, I'm in the middle of my own addiction. If you want to talk to us here, again, you know my email address. I don't know. Did I give it already? Maybe I didn't. 180U to Steve at 180uturn.com. Please contact me and we'll get you with the right people, and I think it'll really help. Now, Anthony, I want to talk to you. This is the first time, we're talking about felony. You're doing dope, and now you're selling it, and now you got yourself in a sticky wicket with felony possession.
So actually what happened was I got caught up with some marijuana seeds, and I got caught up with a dirty baggie, and this is in 97 maybe, 1997. So they gave me a class 4 felony for it. It was enough to do a scientific analyzation for it to come back as amphetamines. So that's what I got caught for. So
okay, but they gave you probation though, because it was just dope in your first time, right?
Well, I mean, there was, of course, if I had an attorney, if I wanted to fight it for them to retest it, there wouldn't be enough to test it, and they would have had to throw it out. But the reality is, it was basically a dirty bag. It was some stems and seeds, and I get a class 4 felony and a class 6 felony for it. So yes, back then it was drug court. So no mandatory jail. You have to comply with probation. There's counseling, AA, things like that. So
okay, but this didn't help because you were in and out of jail after that often.
You know what? AA is good. AA is really a good program, and it leads you to God. Jesus is my higher power. But with my experience with that, I wasn't ready to stop, is the reality. That's the bottom line, because I wasn't willing to do whatever it took. I wanted to live life the way I wanted to.
Do you think you can say this? I mean, we're never conscious that we're on the highway to hell. I mean, we're not conscious of it, right? We know we're wrong. Maybe we're feeling bad about it. You know enough about the Lord to know better, right? We should be not doing this. But I'm not ready to change. I'm not ready to surrender. And I'm not going to just make Jesus my Savior. I got to make him my Lord. And I'm not ready for that.
Right. Well, like I said, I thought it was my birthright to die as an addict. It was my birthright. I never thought I'd make it past 25. That was kind of my my expectation in life. If I make it past 25, it'll be a miracle, because I just didn't care. I didn't know how to deal with my past. I didn't know how to deal with it. So getting high was the way I did.
Well, why did you go? You went in to try some sobriety. You went into another facility that was a public facility, Dream Center. Well, why do you think you went that way?
Well, here's the thing. So I tried counseling before, it didn't work. So for me, there's that's pointless. Being sober means I have to deal with my issues, and you would judge me, and I don't want to be judged, and I don't want to deal with those issues because I don't know how to. I mentally don't know how to.
Well, we're with Alongside Ministries, our sponsor for this whole week.
Right.
How much judgment and condemnation these guys dish out when you come in here?
Oh, zero.
Yeah. And how many people are in the same boat as you are? We have major addictions in here.
Absolutely.
Majorly.
Absolutely.
Heroin, methamphetamines, opioid addictions, prostitution to keep your drug. We have it all. And you're telling me, when you come in here, nobody's pointing any finger at you.
No, they're opening their arms and hugging you and calling you brother and saying, welcome home, and what can I do to help, and praise the Lord, and we're here because you know what, you're a child of God.
Well, keep that in mind as we go through this third episode here, because I want you to keep that in the back of your head. Now, at this time, you met a gal.
So yeah, I'm in jail. I get released on intense probation to Church on the Street, Dream Center. So I was the second group of disciples at the Grand Avenue location.
At the front end of their ministry.
Yes.
At Dream Center. Yeah, wow.
So I'm there. I'm complying. I'm going through IPS. I'm doing the right thing. And of course, they have a rule, don't fraternize. But of course, I had no self-control because I wasn't following the Lord. So I start fraternizing, and next thing you know, I meet a girl, and long story short, I graduate the program, and pretty soon, I'm having sex with her. I get her pregnant, and then I'm like, okay, she's pregnant. Well, I think the right thing to do is get married, so let's get married. And the crazy thing is, I knew her for a few months, but I didn't like the idea of, having a child and not being a father in their life. I wanted the things I didn't have. That was the goal. I just didn't know how to do it.
Abortion was never on your mind?
It was never an option.
Never on your option.
Absolutely.
Or hers either?
No.
Okay. So you married?
Get married.
And you had another child?
So I get married. I'm holding down 2 jobs. I'm actually being sober. I'm doing the right thing. We get a place, get a car, first time I ever, leased a car, and making payments and being responsible. And, I had a lot of side work. So I was, working as a painter, had a lot of side work, lived in an apartment complex, did work there. And then I run into a friend. He's like, hey, what's up? Now, the kind of friend that I should have been talking to. Next thing you know, I'm getting high again. So,
are you selling at this time too?
Well, not at first. See, for me, the way my mind thinks is, if I'm going to use, I know I'm going to use a lot, and it's going to cost a lot of money, so I might as well try to sell some so it doesn't cost me money to get high. That was kind of the mentality.
So it's just the way you said it. It was like, as a balance sheet idea here. Yeah,
absolutely.
Basically. Now, why did you go? Then you left for New York to sober up for a couple of years, right?
So what happened was, I got totally out of control. Wind up moving, having another son. All these things are happening. Life is moving. I'm being a terrible father because I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to live, more than a year of sobriety at a time. So I got major issues, and I'm not dealing with the root cause of my issues, which is, being abused. So I moved to New York, and I'm like, okay, if I move to a different location, different geographic, maybe, something will stick. So I go to New York, and I'm sober in the union, making good money, get a sponsor, doing the program. And that was a very trying time. Hurricane Irene came, we lost everything. As soon as we moved to New York, my sister was gracious enough to let us stay with her for a little bit. We did that, got a place. Hurricane Irene comes, we lose everything. Then coincidentally, our landlord, he was an FBI agent, she was an attorney, and they basically, I told them, listen, if you guys are going to repair the damage, let me know when we can move back in. They did, and there was mold and all kinds of things. So I basically said, listen, I want my deposit back. If you don't give me back my money, my deposit, my first month's rent, then there's going to be an issue, because I'm not going to put my kids in an apartment that has mold in it. It ain't happening. So I wind up getting another place. I'm in New York. I get on furlough from the union. So thank God for Craigslist at the time. I'm able to, do odd and end painting jobs, just enough to be able to scrape by. Then we get our income tax check, and it was like 12 grand, and I'm like, it's time to leave this place. I'm struggling here. It was good while it lasted. I want to go back to Arizona. And I knew that was going to be the end of everything. I knew the minute that I went back to Arizona that it was going to be a matter of time before, back into the drug scene, selling drugs, getting high, shooting dope, all those things. So
now you bring up something in your story that adds on to this, where it's not mentioned before until about 2:15 or so that you start into gambling. I mean, are you talking about, people play poker on the weekends, are you talking about gambling, like major money?
So what happened was, when I came back to Arizona from New York, I get a house. I rent a house. I pay like 5 months in advance. Buy furniture, buy a vehicle, buy all the things that we need. And there was like $1,500 left. And I asked my wife. I said, "Listen, can I go to the casino?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can go." And usually when people are high on meth, that's what they do. They gamble their money away. So I go there and I win 10 grand. I come home, I'm like, look, I won 10 grand. Here, I'll give you 5. I'm going to keep 5. And I go the next day and I win 20 grand. Then I go back again. So long story short, in, I would say probably a 90-day period, I had won almost $600,000. Gambling every day, selling drugs on top of it. I got plenty of money to buy lots of drugs. So that was the cycle that I was living in right there. So the cycle was well, my kids had everything they needed. I thought that was being a good dad, providing. You didn't know you had to spend time with your kids, because of course I didn't have that, so I didn't know. But that's no excuse. I was a terrible father. I was a terrible father. And,
now, during this time, you got caught.
So I was at this time. So there's a time frame of probably about a year, a little longer than a year. I'm selling lots of drugs and gambling a lot, and I mean, to the point to where when I got out of prison, I owed the IRS almost $600,000 because I had won about 1.7 million. I had won just in 2013. So I'm doing that. I'm selling lots of drugs. I wind up getting caught up. My house gets raided. I get caught with a knife in my dresser drawer, and being a felon, they gave me a misconduct involving a weapon. So that's what I went to prison for, was that.
And for how long?
I got 2 years for that, but while I was there and before, because I fought my case from 13 to 15. I had a street attorney, a great attorney, and in that process I had gotten caught up again with drugs. So they did what they call a long form, and I should have told my attorney, listen, I just got caught up again. I didn't say anything because I was stupid, and plus I didn't want to give him any more money because it cost me a lot of money. So as soon as I'm in prison for 3 months, and I get page 2'd, and then it's the possession charge with intent to sell. So I get the page 2, I go back to county jail. But as soon as I end up in prison, I was rescued. I wasn't arrested, I was rescued. I always told my ex-wife, who's now is my ex-wife, my wife at the time, that listen, I don't know how to get better, but I know that when I go to prison, I'm going to really deal with my abuse and what's happened to me and really, really try to become a different person. I know I couldn't do it. I knew it had to be Jesus interfering. I knew the Lord. I knew a lot about him. I just wasn't following him. I wanted to do it my way. So I get to prison, and I had plenty of opportunities to do the wrong thing, and for once in my life, I was serious about God. And I prayed to the Lord, and I said, Lord, do whatever you need to do. Just reveal yourself to me. And if you do, I'll follow you the rest of my life. And it was probably the most honest thing I've ever said in my life. And I said it, and I said, Lord, take this disease of addiction from me. I don't ever want to get high again. And I kid you not, instantly, I had no desire to ever touch drugs, any of those things, ever. And before I went to prison, I was actually doing heroin. I didn't want to deal with, I didn't want to deal with life. So I was in a really bad place. God took the desire of drugs right from me.
I think sometime I've seen so many people that have been hardcore addicts in their life, heroin, meth being some of the top two street drugs. I'm blown away by the society's inability to grasp the spiritual ability for God to intervene. For the God component in detox,
right,
it blows away any secular thing I've ever seen. I mean, I'm just comparing raw statistics. Let's not even say what God, and just the God component.
Right.
So this is a huge issue here. To finally, I'm going into prison. I'm not being arrested. I'm being actually rescued, and I'm going to use the platform of incarceration to get it done. Well, listen, we're going to continue with Anthony's story throughout the week. Tomorrow we get to talk more about the Lord and your life and how that all changed. And it could change for you. Listen, I don't want you to write yourself off and say, yeah, that was Anthony, but not me. I got my own problems. Well, listen, let me tell you something. Our problems are there, and so a lot of us we have done stuff in our prison jacket and in our personal resume that is really awful. But I want you to think about going out to the website alongside ministries at asmaz.com. Check out their weekly meetings or their special events. And if you're in Phoenix area, you can do that live. And you're saying, Steve, we're thinking about talking to Ken maybe doing FaceTime live and doing some of these meetings so anybody can participate with podcasting. It's just great now with video, and so that you can take a piece of this. I want you to take this story and say, Steve, I want to get right. And my email address is steve@180uturn.com. And so until next time, I'm Steve Savant. And remember, no one's outside the reach of God.
That's right.
Not you, not anyone.